Good morning. Tere hommikust. Labas rytas. Labrīt. I think I got it all covered. Well, it's very nice to be here. Thank you for having me. I will be here very briefly. People say, why have a stand-up comedian? I'm sort of like the sorbet between meals. So a little sweetness, and then you're ready for the afternoon session. So it is very nice to be back in the European Union. No, really. It's funny how your life can change overnight. The day before the election, I was an expat. The day after the election, I was a refugee. And now I live in Germany, which means I have to learn German, which is very difficult. Now, I studied Berlitz, Rosetta Stone, but that is for businessmen and tourists. They teach you things like, where is the train station? Where is the museum? I live there. I know where the train station is. I need things that I can use in normal life, like, what time is your husband coming home? These are useful things. So I am an Estonian comedian. I grew up, my parents are Estonian. I was born in New York. I grew up in Japan. I went to boarding school in Europe, then university in California. I should have become a diplomat. And when I went to the State Department and I said, I'm looking forward to being a diplomat because now I can say what really needs to be said, and they said, no, you cannot say what you really think. So I became a stand-up comedian because now they can't stop me. So I moved into an apartment in Germany, and you know what you do when you get a new apartment, right? You go to IKEA. It's the law. I have now spent so much money at IKEA, I am a Swedish citizen. It was wonderful flying into Riga yesterday. You know those white, beautiful beaches you have here? My mother is from Pärnu, which is a small town about 100 miles from here. And I went swimming when I was in Pärnu last time. I wanted to go swimming. I walked into the water and I walked. And I walked. And I turned around when people started speaking Swedish. It's a fun time to be a political comedian. A lot of people ask me, they say, Donald Trump? And I say, well, George W. Bush doesn't seem so bad now, does he? George W. Bush makes Trump look like John F. Kennedy. It's unbelievable. And there's been a lot of elections recently. The Russians had an election. A Russian election. That's like saying Islamic wine tasting. It's a fun idea. Never going to happen. The Brits had an election. The Russians were going to interfere, but they don't understand British politics either. The Dutch had an election, and for 7 months, they had no government. And nobody noticed. The French had an election, you remember last year? It was huge, very important, because everybody was worried. Everybody was happy when Emmanuel Macron won the election. Poor Marine Le Pen, nobody likes Marine Le Pen. She had to go all the way to Moscow to find someone who would with her. And of course, Vladimir Putin found her on Tinder. And what he really liked about her page was that on Marine's page, you can only swipe to the right. It is an interesting time. Interesting times. I got my Estonian passport finally, so I can stay in Europe now, which is lovely. It's great. I love passports. The British have the best passport. I love the things that they say in the front of the passport. The British have the best passport. It says, Her Britannic Majesty's Principal Secretary of State for Foreign and Commonwealth Affairs requests, requires, and demands in Her Majesty's name that the bearer be allowed to pass without let or hindrance, and to be afforded such assistance and protection as necessary. That is so cool. The American passport is a little different. It's shorter. You open it up, it says, yo, we're coming through. The Canadian passport just says, we're not Americans. The Swiss passport, you open it up and it says, yeah, you wish. You cannot have one of these. The German passport, you open it up and it says, your customs and immigration process is inefficient. We can make it better for you. And the North Korean passport, well, I'm kidding, there's no such thing. But you know, I love living in Europe. It's such a privilege, and it's such an amazing experiment. It really is. And I love coming back, and I love visiting Estonia. I learned Estonian. I learned to speak Estonian when I was growing up. We had to speak it. But it's interesting because things change, life changes. And the first time I came to Estonia, I was in a bar, and I met some women, and we started talking, and I was walking back to the hotel with one of the ladies, and she says, you know, talking to you is so interesting. And I thought, okay. She says, yes, when I speak to you, it's like speaking to my grandfather. Because language changes, and so I speak an old Estonian. 80-year-old women think I'm very hot. That's all I'm saying. But Europe is an amazing experiment. It truly is. I mean, 28 countries that somehow get along together. It's truly remarkable. 17 of them use the same currency. The other 11, what is Brussels saying? I'm sorry, you're not allowed to play with real money. But you know, the best way to describe Europe is that Europe is like a family. You know, we're all together in this. It's really amazing. From Greece all the way to Finland, we're all in this together. And we are a family. And like all families, there's fun parts of the family, and there's strange parts of the family. That's what family is. Think of it this way. Germany and France are like mom and dad. And Germany is just like dad. Serious, not much of a sense of humor. Go to school, graduate, go to work for a big company, save your money, don't screw around. They don't call it the fatherland for nothing. Now, France, mom is like France. Mom loves fashion, mom loves food, mom loves art, mom will have an affair once in a while. Well, dad is solid and reliable, but he's boring. Mom will give you 20 euros when you need it. Don't tell your father. Then there's Italy and Spain. They're like the two brothers who moved away from home, but not too far. And the Italian brother looks fabulous. Great clothes, perfect hair, shirt open, gold chain, drives a red sports car. We do not know if he owns the sports car. In fact, we have no idea how he makes his money, and we don't want to know. The Spanish brother, nice guy. Plays the guitar, takes a lot of naps. Portugal's like the hippie sister. She lives way down, way at the bottom of Europe, and We make a really strong red wine. Bank account? No. We use seashells. Then there's Luxembourg. Luxembourg is like that little cousin. Nobody knows which side of the family he's from. But he's somehow made a lot of money. So we have to be nice to Luxembourg. The Irish cousins are the diplomats of the family. No matter where you go in the world, you will find an Irish consulate. We call them pubs. But no matter where you go, there's one. Now the Brits have always said they're going to leave the family. They haven't done it yet. Now, the British is like that aunt who lives in the spare bedroom above the garage. She's got the mole with the 2 hairs that come out of it. Claims to be from royalty. Denmark, Sweden, Finland, those are the children from the first marriage. They're doing very well. Then there's the Eastern cousins, Poland, Czech, Slovak, Romania, Bulgaria, Hungary, etc., etc. They grew up in prison. But they'll be okay. They're learning capitalism very quickly. Greece is adopted. Then there's, of course, the Netherlands. The Netherlands is like the lesbian aunt. Right? She's really liberal, nice clothes, rides a bike everywhere, smokes a lot of pot. Every family needs one pot-smoking lesbian aunt. Belgium is the schizophrenic brother, right? Sort of, you know, I'm Dutch, I'm French, I speak German, I speak Vlaams. Shut up. No, you shut up. That's why all the institutions are there. And of course, finally, there's the Baltic brothers, the little triplets, right? The little ones, you know, they're little part of the family. You never know where they are. Everybody's like, where are the Baltics? The Balkans? No, not the Balkans, the Baltics. But it's a pretty good deal you have here in Europe, and I am honored to be a part of it. I know you're talking about the 4th Industrial Revolution here today. Interesting stuff. The first was, of course, steam. Second was mass production. Third was the digital age. Fourth is AI, robotics. Fifth revolution will be when we learn how to use the third and the fourth revolution. And of course, I'm not worried about my job because I've never met a funny robot. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Paldies.